Hey guys, good evening. It is John C. Morley, serial entrepreneur. Whether you're with me tonight at 10:57 p.m., 10:57 a.m., 3 a.m., 3 p.m., 6 a.m., 6 p.m., doesn't really matter. Thank you so much for being here. Really do appreciate you from the bottom of my heart. Do check out my hat, believe me, achieve.com for more of my amazing, inspiring creations. All right, guys, we're going to get right into the show here. First thing I want to say to you is we know what the week is. The week is about how to reframe our brain, right? That's the series for the week. And tonight's master topic is understanding, ladies and gentlemen, the types of neuroplasticity. That sounds like a mouthful, and if you don't know what it is, it is. So neuroplasticity talks about the fact that our brain can adapt and grow, right? For better or for worse. We always want to do it for better, but some people do it for worse and don't even know why they're doing it or how they're doing it. So first thing we'll talk about tonight, and we talk about basically the type. It's basically the types of neuroplasticity. You've heard me talk about plasticity before, neuroplasticity, but now we're going to dive in a little deeper with actually the types of neuroplasticity. That's a pretty cool thing, and I think you guys will really appreciate this because this will hopefully bring, let's say, some new perspectives to you guys about what neuroplasticity is. All right, so neuroplasticity. There are three basic types of neuroplasticity. If you're on the fence and saying, "Hey, gee, what is?" So let's talk about something real quick. So what is plasticity in terms, according to Merriam-Webster, right? According to Merriam-Webster, let's just talk about just plasticity. So now, the quality of state of being plastic, capacity for being molded or altered. So that's what we're talking about, the fact that you can reshape something, the ability to retain a shape attained by pressure deformation, the capacity of organisms with the same genotype to vary in developmental pattern and phenotype or in behavior according to varying environmental conditions, the capacity for continuous alteration of the neural pathways and synapses, I said, of the living brain and the nervous system in response to experience or injury. So that's what we're going to be talking about, that last one. All right, guys. So thinking about neuroplasticity, the first thing is synaptic plasticity. Plasticity. That's the first type. So synaptic plasticity is one of the types. And so it's a form of neuroplasticity that has to do with change in the strength and the efficiency of the synaptic connections between neurons. It's primarily concerned with learning and the memory process. Okay. So when we think about making something stronger, right, we're actually enhancing its current capabilities or extending its abilities. So that's what we mean when we refer to synaptic plasticity. Um, I know that sounds like a ton, but really all I want you to understand is that it's important to know. Okay, um, and I can tell you that it's pretty amazing that we're learning this kind of stuff. Um, and so it's important to understand that this is cool because we can really change our life. And so let's think about another type of plasticity. That's structural plasticity. All right. So structural plasticity has to do with physical changes in the brain's structure, including the growth of the new dendrites, the formation of new synapses, and the rewiring of the neural circuits. Let me say that again. So the structural plasticity has to do with the physical changes in the brain structure, including the growth of the new dendrites and the formation of new synapses and rewiring of the neural circuits. Okay. Hopefully that makes sense to everybody. If you remember yesterday, we did talk about dendrites, but in case you guys are lost again, they're the finger-like cells present on the end of a neuron, and they're short branching fibers extending from a cell body of the nerve cell, and it increases the surface area able for receiving and basically taking the incoming information. Dendrites are the receiving or the input portion of the neuron. Okay. So hopefully that makes a little bit of sense for you guys, how that works. And so, it's important to understand how they work, right? So they're basically part of the cell body, and it's to receive information from other neurons called presynaptic neurons or from the environment itself. That's pretty cool. Again, it looks like the branch of a tree, and it receives messages for the cell. That's like wild, okay? And a lot of people might say, John, what are you talking about? Well, so dendrites bring electrical signals to the cell body, and the axons take the information away from the cell body. So dendrites bring information to the cell body, and axons take information away from the cell body. And then the neurons basically communicate. So let me make that again. So dendrites bring electrical signals so dendrites in the cell body, okay? And axons take it away. You can think of A for away, right? The neurons communicate with each other through electrochemical. So whatever there is that, let's say that break where it's not connected, that's where we get the chemical connection. And then the chemical goes back into the electrical and vice versa. And it's a really a cool process how that works. All right, the last part of the neuroplasticity, there's a third part, and that's called the functional plasticity. It involves the brain's ability to reorganize its functions in response to damage or changes in sensory input. It allows for any compensation mechanisms and development of new skills. So harnessing neuroplasticity for brain health is important. Tomorrow, we're going to talk a little more about this, but we're going to go into basically neuroplasticity for brain health, and we're going to talk about the different types of things that are important for neuroplasticity brain health. We're going to get into that tomorrow, but I want to make sure that everybody here tonight understands what the heck we're talking about. So the whole thing is about reframing our brain, right? That's the whole week. And then we're talking about basically understanding the types of neuroplasticity, which is how the brain reorganizes itself, regrows, okay, things like that, repairs and transforms to good or to bad. Remember the synaptic plasticity. I just want to make this clear again. It's the type of neuroplasticity that is responsible for the changes in the strength and efficiency of the synaptic connections between the neurons. And it's really concerned with learning and memory. So synaptic plasticity is about the neuroplasticity that involves changes in the strength and the efficiency of the synaptic connections between the neurons. And it's concerned with learning and the memory process. That's how that works. Structural plasticity, okay? Structural plasticity is the next one. And just to review that again, it refers to physical changes in the brain structure, including the growth of new dendrites, the formation of new synapses, and the rewiring and neural circuits. And the last one that we talked about is, yes, the functional plasticity. Functional plasticity is about the brain's ability to reorganize its functions in response to damage or change in sensory input. Well, that is a lot of information, right? A lot of information. And you might be wondering, why or how that even works, but it's pretty amazing because, our body has so much power. And I don't think we're really quite understanding what our body can do, but our body can make so many changes. Okay, so many changes. And these changes are things that most people don't realize. Okay, they don't realize what these changes are. And it's important to note, ladies and gentlemen, that plasticity is important. Okay. because it operates whether you want it to or not. And so if you were to understand neuroplasticity, you could use it for your own benefit. But if you don't use neuroplasticity, then that could be a big problem, because it will work. It's one of the laws of nature, it will work regardless of whether you know about it or you don't. Um, a wise person once said, I think this really makes a lot of sense, um, is if you go to a top of a building and you're going to think you can fly and jump off, don't do this. Uh, you will basically fall to the ground. Whether you believe in gravity or you don't believe in gravity, you still will fall to the ground. So, again, do not, ladies and gentlemen, do not do that because, again, gravity doesn't care whether you understand it or not. It's going to work regardless. All right. So that's a very, very important thing. And when we think about plasticity, it's really about us becoming a better version of ourselves. That's what plasticity, neuroplasticity is. And we talked a little about, like I said, we talked about the dendrites. We talked about the fact before, those are those tree-like structures at the end. We talked about the axon, which takes signals away. Okay. We talked about the dendrites that bring the signals to the cell body. Okay. And the axons take it away from the cell body. Pretty cool, right? Very, very cool. Um, the thing that's very interesting about this is that, like I said to you, in the body where there is no direct connection, because there are some places where there's no direct connection, right? So the way it works is it goes from the electrical to the chemical, and then the chemical reaction basically happens, and then that transfers back into the electrical when it gets to the other side. So it's like you have the two sides. Okay, so where there's that gap, that synapse gap, that's where the chemical reaction is happening, and then it changes back to the electrical and goes back in the cell. So it's really pretty wild, if you ask me. Our body has so many amazing facets, and we're just exploring some of them today. But I think neuroplasticity is cool because if you don't know what it is, then you pretty much might miss the ability to grow and become a better version of yourself. And that's what it comes down to. Because when we think about our body and we think about the fact that we're healthy, but we think about the fact that we can make so many big changes, and these changes are all internal, and they're happening because of our thoughts. You see, our thoughts basically affect the ecosystem in our body. If we think positively, well, then our cells are in a nice sunny day. If we're thinking negatively, well, then we're starting to create a little bit of a cloud and rain. And if we get really negative, well, then we're starting to cause, some big storms inside our body. And they're weathering the storms, but it's not good for them to do that, right? The body can't stay healthy in those kind of conditions. So be kind to your body, treat your body well, think positive thoughts. And when you think positive thoughts, your body will respond in kind. Now, many people I know try to start outside, but we need to start inside our body because, see, it's the inside, okay, that because of that, the outside follows, okay? So the outside will ever follow whatever the inside is doing. It's very important. So that's important for you to know. And I think it's important for you to realize that the perception you have and the thoughts you have and the way you think about yourself and the way you think about others, this affects our internal ecosystem. And this ecosystem is where our body is, how we're living, our organs, right? It's like, do you want to be doing work on a messy desk? Well, maybe some of you do, but usually you don't. Or do you want to be eating in a messy kitchen? Or do you want to be taking a shower or bath in a dirty bathroom? Of course not, right? So that's the same analogy I can give you with the way your body is. When you are positive, you're creating a nice, clean atmosphere with all the great conditions. When you're not, well, then you're making it hard. And then let's say the more negative you are, well, the more slimy and scummy and dirty you're making your inside so that they're not able to really operate as efficiently as possible. Ladies and gentlemen, you know who I am by now. If you don't, I'm going to tell you. I'm John C. Morley, serial entrepreneur. Appreciate you guys hanging out with me tonight. Please be sure to go to BelieveMeChief.com for more of my amazing, inspiring creations. And don't forget, ladies and gentlemen, to please like, love, and support all the great stuff, including follow me on TikTok and all the great stuff. And I'll catch you guys tomorrow for episode 6. All right, have yourself a wonderful night. And remember, ladies and gentlemen, neuroplasticity is not something that's in a woo-woo world. It's actually reality. So start being kind to yourself. Your body's going to return the favor. Take care, everyone, and have a wonderful evening.